Alright folks, this is going to be take two of this whole affair. So I went to start drawing, and once I got in a couple minutes into my drawing, I realized, like, wow, every time I touch my desk it's like falling apart. So I went to go get an Allen wrench, and then when I went to fix the desk I realized one whole screw was missing and then everything else was loose. So here we are, back to work. This will be a little bit more stable than it was. Might be a little bit wobbly, but not, well, shoot. Was there even really a change there? Alright, well, we'll see. We'll work with what we have. But it was still very, very loose. So, here you go. Hopefully that's in frame. Yeah, it's working out alright. Okay. So, let's see what we gotta do next. I don't think anybody was quite in the stream yet anyway, so I don't think it was a tremendous loss, but just wanted to make sure. Let me move this a little bit so the, yeah, that's not too bad. So that the camera isn't in frame and you guys can see a little bit more of this piece so I can move around without having to think where the camera is. Alright, let's see what else I need to do here. Okay, I've got this. I've got that. And then I've got, let's see what else I want to do on this thing here. Gonna do some lettering, I think, and then some working out on this stuff here. So that looks okay. That looks okay. There we are. I don't like that shot. There you go. You see a little bit more drawing there, I think. All right. So what am I doing on a Sunday? Wow, it's a Sunday. It's going to be Monday in about a minute here. What am I doing on a Sunday night stream like this? Well, today I went and got my vaccine shot, so that was a thrilling thing, so I can really feel it in my left arm. I got my first one, and I'll be getting my second one in about 28 days, so that should be fun. Can definitely feel my left arm, that's for sure. But what else is new? And then, you know, 2 days ago, I was watching a lot of indie creators and what they were doing. I mean, I've been watching them for a while, but I saw this video by Brian Polito called Calling All Creators, and it was a great video. He talked about some stuff that would be, you could look at as common sense, you could look at it as obvious, but I don't think it is obvious unless it's put together or unless you're somebody who has a natural knack for it. And I've been thinking a lot about, you know, where I want to go with my work and what I want to do with it. And I think that for me, a big part of that is going to be, there we go, is going to be working on the entrepreneurial aspect of it, which is to say, investing in the stuff I create and the stuff that I own. And so watching him talk about it and his history with Evil Ernie and Lady Death and, you know, giving the little tour of where he works was really inspiring. It was great to see. And he talked about, you know, how much work it takes and how hard it's going to be to do that kind of work. And, you know, when you're someone who works hard and you're reasonably creative, which, you know, I feel comfortable saying about myself, but when you work really hard, you're reasonably creative, you're working hard anyway. So the question becomes, what are you working hard for? And I think that everybody has to kind of ask themselves that question, like, what am I working hard for? What's the thing that excites me? And for me, I like the idea of making work for people and creating stuff that's fun. And so that's something that was really great to see him talk about and see him do. I'm going to use a white gel pen here for a sec because I feel like I got a little too dark in here, and I love using a white gel pen to pull highlights back out whenever I get too dark. So that'll create a nice little sense of the hair. I'm not sure I'm happy with it yet. I mean, the thing I wanted to do with it was to make it feel a little bit more full and up top, and I kind of have these thin strands now, so I don't know if it's working as well as I'd like it to, but we'll see as it comes to finish. Let's see, there you go. It's hard to do that without turning the camera and turning the paper. So here we are. But I've been thinking a lot about artists and things that inspire me and talking about those things a little bit more on the stream. I had mentioned last stream some of the Indiegogo creators that have inspired me, and I also mentioned an artist by the name of Tim Vigil and showed some of his stuff, particularly his indie comic book, or his first professional job, which was on a comic book called Grips. And I was a huge fan of Grips. I thought it was so cool and interesting, even though it's it's a fairly simple concept. It's what if a vigilante was incredibly violent, and that is what you get from that comic. So it's black and white. It's done on classic pulp paper, and it's just a fun ride. So I thought, when I was a kid, I thought it was just really cool, and I loved his brushwork. And so when I'm doing this, I guess whenever I'm inking, I'm always thinking about Tim's brushwork and how it affected me when I was a wee lad. So here you go. Probably should be using a slightly different material. I think I'm going to make too many marks to get the ink to get into this paper right here. I might need to use a brush or a bigger pen, but for right now, when I'm doing this lining work, it's a very heavy, like 300-pound cold press watercolor paper, and because I might be painting it once I'm done, first I'm going to ink it and then scan the ink, so if I want to do something in digital I can, or if I want to adjust whatever colors I do in traditional I can. But for right now, I'm starting with inking it, and this paper, which is great with gouache, and it's a very thirsty paper, so to speak. This paper is not ideal for applying, technical pen ink to, so it takes a little bit of work to get the ink in there. There we go. Nice. Hope everybody's having a good weekend, or has had a good weekend. Watching some cool stuff. Maybe see some interesting movies. Maybe some horror movies, depending on whatever you're into, or some giant monster movies. There we go. I've been catching up on classic Hammer horror films. There we go. And recently saw Godzilla vs. Kong and had a really good time with it. I thought the kid they had in it was a really cute kid and a sweet character. And I liked seeing Godzilla's sign. I mean, King Kong's sign. Yeah, if Godzilla's sign, that would be kind of terrifying, I think. Like, wonder what's going on in Godzilla's head. I don't know if I want to know. But King Kong, yeah, it was pretty cool in that. And I liked the Hollow Earth place that King Kong goes to. Gotta remember to check the chat and the comments. It's like every now and again my wife is asleep, so usually she's here minding it. So there you go. There we are. So yeah, this will make for a really interesting sticker when I'm done. This and the werewolf head. I just ordered 50 stickers of the werewolf head that I have on my Instagram, and that's actually, I think it's on the homepage of this channel. And what I did is I brought it in. It was a head sketch for a backer, so it turned out to be really good, so much so that I want to use it to make stickers. So there is a backer of one of my Indiegogo campaigns who bought a watercolor gouache head sketch. That's one of the best things I've ever done. I think it's my favorite werewolf painting I've ever done. So, and someone who's backed and bought watercolor head sketches twice, so it's really quite nice to know that I was able to get him, not only another sketch, but I think a sketch that can stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the best stuff I've done. So that was really cool to see. But yeah, so I'm making stickers out of it. I just ordered 50, and then I also ordered a pillow with that werewolf head on it. because I love seeing stuff get printed, and seeing the artwork get reproduced in terms of prints, and it just comes out really great. This place that I use called Fine Art America does really great print work, and my chair that I sit in is a total disaster. All the springs are gone in it. I really need to get it repaired, and so I'm sitting on a pillow to fill in where the springs in the chair broke. So I was thinking to myself, I want to get a bigger pillow for this chair so it's not so precarious for me to draw on. And I decided to get a gigantic pillow with one of my paintings printed on it just to see how it looks. And maybe I'll do some giveaway stuff at some point where I use these kinds of things. But I've been watching a lot of really good movies. I was watching Big Trouble in Little China the other day, which is one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. I watched They Live today, which is... I'd never seen it before. So my wife and I were watching it for the first time and enjoyed it. Let's take a measurement here, because I know that eye is the wrong size, I think. But let's see. Really? Huh. Wonder how I did it. I mean, I don't want them to be perfectly symmetrical, but I feel like they're off. No, they're not. Just my eyes, I guess. There we go. Alright, cool. That's probably what's going on with the eyelid right there. And yeah. There we go. We got a little bit of a crack right there in that tooth. Make it a little bit creepier. And then we'll just come into here. There we go. Full Bob Ross voice in effect. That's what happens whenever you draw. But I figure I should contribute something to the art cause. I've been watching a lot of streams of some of my favorite artists and some of the most entertaining YouTubers that you're going to see. And I thought, it's got to be exhausting for them. It's just got to be so exhausting to be in full promotion mode. I mean, you see some of these creators, and I have not been there to the degree that they've been there. But they're just completely exhausted. They're streaming all day, promoting their stuff, and then they're drawing work, and then they're printing up work, and they're being really entertaining, and people are like, where are you, when they don't stream? And you just think, gosh, more of us have got to be getting our stuff out there and taking some of the pressure off. And maybe also putting in a good word for them and their work and the stuff that they're doing, because it's tiring. And for these creators, I see a lot of them, and some of them have been through just so much in their process of maintaining their career and creating their own stuff. And I just think, oh my gosh, they just need a break. They just look fatigued, and they're still trying to be entertaining, and they're doing fine, but you can see they're starting to feel it a little bit more. And I think that there are so many cool comic creators out there that more of us need to kind of step up and do our independent stuff and do some entertaining podcasts. One of the people I want to get into a podcast at some point is my friend Will, because he's hilarious and he's really skilled, does brilliant ink work. So I may have to set up a stream with him at some point. I've got to do a stream with Michael again at some point, which I know we're going to set up, but yeah, we need some entertainment. We need some cool stuff and some fun stuff. When I look at entertainment in the 80s, and it probably is just nostalgia, but I don't care. It's so much freer. I'm so absolutely exhausted by entertainment these days. I think we're in this very strange period right now of people creating things that are not they're just not fun. They're not as fun as they can. They're not weird enough. And I don't mean weird in a self-conscious kind of way, but I mean, when I watch some of the things that were going on in films, like watch They Live and tell me if you don't think that's a really insane and amazingly creative film. I mean, it's wild. I'm watching more films, older films now, than new films at this point. And a lot of stuff that I could have seen probably if I was maybe a little older when they came out, but it's just so it's not nostalgia, it's just boredom. Same thing goes with comics, though. I mean that's definitely nostalgia. Going back and looking at what was going on in the independent scene when I was first starting to collect, and some of the black and white stuff that was going on. There you go. I watched a really great YouTube channel, Cartoonist Kayfabe, I was looking at. They did a video where they were talking about Richard Corbin, and talk about a giant in the field. I got out my Richard Corbin book of his Angoulême exhibition. He died December of this past year, so somewhat recently. And you think, gosh, you know, what an amazing creator, and I just want to see that kind of sense of play and risk-taking going on when we're doing stuff. It's not required by any stretch, but there's certainly nothing stopping artists from doing their best stuff right now. I mean, getting it out there is possible, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Noel Gallagher from Oasis who said this recently. He goes, in this day and age, it's not possible that there's some amazing artist out there that no one's finding out about. It's not like it was, you know, when in the 80s or in the 90s. If you're doing something great and you make a hit song and you put it online, people are going to hear it. And if it's really great, then it's going to be successful. And I think that's very true for art and comics as well. I mean, to get your work in front of people, you had to print it out, you had to photocopy it, you had to mail it to them, or you had to hand carry it and put it in front of people's eyes. It was so hard. I just can't believe when I think back on it, the things I used to do to try to get my work out there. And now I just put it online and people can see it. It's pretty crazy. So that's where my head's at. I need some monster stuff. I need some cool stuff to happen. So here we are. There we go. There we are. So next thing is my son's coming downstairs to grab himself a snack. I'm assuming. There we go. There we are. That's getting there. Let's see what else we're going to do. There we go. That's looking good. Let's see what else we've got going on. So yeah, so this is going to be my next book. One of the books that I'm working on, or that I finished recently, is of course this book right here, Shanth Enjeti Art Rigor Mortrex. We're going to have this up and available for purchase soon, as well as a bunch of other stuff, stickers and promotional material. If you want to be up to date on the things I'm doing and you want to see high-res images of what I'm working on, go and take a look at my Patreon, which is on the the link is in the description for it. So do check that out. There we go. So yeah, I think the next year is going to be, or I should say the year we're in right now, but in the next 365 days, we're going to be doing some really cool stuff. Just kind of waiting to get some free time that's not in the middle of the night to do some more work. And I think I'm going to try to get some more assistance with these streams. I need to bring some more people in here. I need Will Podorf to come in here maybe. We'll see if he's up for it. And see who else we can get in here. Got a lot of really talented artist friends and who are fun to talk with, so we'll see if we can get them in here. I find it a little bit easier to talk when I've got people around, but needs must when the devil drives. There we go. There we go. I honestly do not know, and I'm going to learn if it kills me, but I do I do not know how some of these big time creators who ship huge campaigns and put things in there like action figures and things like that, how they're able to get all of this stuff going. I mean, it is just crazy when I think about it. And I'm doing my best to kind of get that stuff out there and keep working and keep chipping away at this stuff. But I mean, incredible respect to them for the work that they do. They definitely inspire me. There we go. That's looking a little bit crazy. I was looking at one of the people that I've been following for a couple of years on YouTube, and looking back to some of the early videos I watched, and I was thinking, and it was saying things like, I've got 20,000 subscribers now, and it's like, now he's at 150 subscribers. It just is crazy to see. And it's, what it is that stuff, I think if you're on YouTube long enough, but if you're putting your work out there, I don't think it's really YouTube as much as it is, the consistency of putting your work out there. You kind of figure out, just because it's requires so much attention and so much effort, you figure out what is the work that I'm supposed to be making. What are the things that I want to be doing? And I like to draw. I like to talk about, different things. I like to, I'm not sure exactly how they all fit together right now, so I'm just putting myself out there and doing the work, because my favorite things in the world to do are talk about movies and talk about, creature creation and things like that. And so, that's eventually going to be a big part of what I do. But right now, I just want to show people what I'm doing art-wise and talk about my Patreon, talk about my YouTube channel, talk about my Instagram, but also talk about all of the projects that are going to be coming up. And the main one is going to be, my very next project is going to be a comic book. And it's going to be painted. It's going to be done in the style that I'm known for in my art books. If you are curious what that style is, check out my past Indiegogo campaigns. Check out my Instagram, and you'll see what I mean. But it's very detailed. Actually, why am I making more work for you? Hang on a second here. Let's see what I can do with not getting the whole thing in the screen here. It's going to be difficult. Whoa. Can I get it in here without... There we go. This right here. Imagine this, but as a comic book. Imagine beautiful figures, beautiful creatures, all kinds of wild things going on. A little bit of vampire hunting, a little bit of vampire killing. Never killed anybody but the vampires. So imagine that kind of stuff. That is what I'm going to be doing in the comic book. I've already done 2 40-page, art books. In that stylistic, so I'm fairly comfortable doing it, and I've been drawing comics since I was a kid, probably since I was 11 or 12. I think the first things I ever did were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles submissions packages, and those were a blast. I was just like, I'm gonna go work for Archie Comics. I'd read Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's Ninja Turtles stuff, and I just thought I was gonna send my stuff in at 11 and send it to Archie Comics and get a job working on Ninja Turtles. Which, I mean, my gosh, I was like 11 or 12. It's really funny to think about now. There we go. Get those stitches in there. I grew up on a lot of really cool, quirky art and cartoon work. And this is a little bit of a throwback to the stuff that I grew up on. And one of my favorite pieces of artwork that my awesome studio mate got me the recreation of was this skateboard art, the skateboard deck. That was this big cartoon face, and it was called the Rob Roscop Street 3, I believe, is what the skateboard deck was. I always think in terms of comics. It's always where my heart's going to be. But I just saw that, and I couldn't even skateboard at all. I just wanted that deck, and it was just the strangest thing. It's like I wanted that art off that deck, and it was so. It was so fun and playful and gross and kind of creepy in the way that I like, which is, Disney Haunted Mansion, classic Mark Davis kind of scary stuff. That's the stuff I was always into. I loved the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I loved, creepy creatures. That was a huge part of it. And so my hope is as I do more of this stuff is to get back into that stuff, to kind of create things that recapture what I like. Now, on this guy's forehead, if you look at it carefully, what you're going to start to see, if I pan up a little bit, is that I'm putting the Enjeti E, because that's what Enjeti art and Shanth Enjeti art and Shanth Enjeti comics is what we're doing here. And I'm really having fun with it. And I've always wanted to make, there were these amazingly cool skateboard and skate deck stickers. There still are, for that matter. But the ones that were done, during the 80s, the thing that was interesting about them is there was this wonderfully crude, kind of raw quality to them that I liked and made you want to put them on your stuff. And even if it was like just putting them on your notebook or your 3-ring binder or trapper keeper, as it used to be in the day. In fact, there's this sticker that I have that is right over there that is this Mezco logo sticker, and I think it's really cool. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to reach it. Let me see if I can grab it. Ooh, got a lot of stuff over here. Let's see what I have here. Oh, that's cool. I'll grab that. See where the hell I put this thing now. That's going to be a problem. All right, we're going to try to get it back there. Fingers crossed, if this falls off, my wife is going to kill me. Oh, my goodness. All right, that's as close as it's going to get. So, this right here, actually, I'll put it in front here. This right here, this is a gigantic, I think 5-inch in diameter sticker for Mezco. And it's a really, it's just a really cool, high quality, image that you get. And, you just think, wow, what a fun thing to get. And when you have skills and you can make things and you can create different stuff, your imagination is pretty much what the limit is of what you can do. And so I made the decision, recently I'm like going, God, I've got to be doing more. God, that looks really cool. If I don't, if I do say so myself, that looks really cool. So I'll show you a little happenstance thing that can happen sometimes when you're drawing. So these stitches, because I'm in a groove and I'm starting to talk a little bit more and loosen up, although I will tell you the hardest skill to learn is talking and drawing. It is incredibly difficult to have the focus that you need to have when you're doing these things. But, the world's smallest violin is playing My Heart Bleeds for You right now for me. What a difficult thing it is to talk and draw. But when I'm working, you get this kind of motion, you get this kind of movement that's happening there with the stitches, and it's the kind of stuff that will happen after you practice and after you make work for a very long time, but it's a very tough thing for me to chase. And so whenever the art gods allow me to have those little moments, it's always fun to see. And I've been really wanting to put stitches on this character. I want to do really fun and creepy stuff, so I came up with the name for this character, which I'm not going to say yet. I will probably announce it on my Patreon first. But I wanted to come up with a name for this character, make it something creepy, make it something that's kind of iconic and fun, and playing off my love of Nosferatu and my love of old horror movies, but also just the whole idea. I was one of those kids that, my favorite holiday, and I'm sure a lot of you are like this, my favorite holiday was Halloween, and still is Halloween. I think it's my son's too. And the thing that's cool about it is that I've always wanted it to be Halloween. Like, whenever we get into the middle of the winter, I always think there should be another, haunted holiday right in the middle of the winter, February, March, when it gets cold and days, are stretching on and, they're getting shorter, but they feel like that winter's never going to end. I always think we need something fun. And so I always watch a lot of scary movies, but I got to be honest, I'm one of those people who watches scary movies, year round. And it's funny, they're not like, I don't watch hardcore horror movies, as like some people do. Although I did really enjoy, although I wouldn't say it's hardcore horror, I loved the new Invisible Man. I thought that was actually a really good movie with great characters in it and some really shocking twists in it. What's funny? I watched that movie and my wife and I had not seen it. And then when I watched it, when I've been thinking about it, we talked about it today. We've talked about it a few times since we watched it. I really think I'm going to watch that movie again, which is rare for me to, see a movie that I like so much I want to watch it again in terms of a new movie. But it's great. really well done. It's a no frills, or I should say it's quite beautifully done, but it's not an overly complicated narrative, and they pulled it off well. And it's got this the fantastic actor from the Netflix Haunting series. So he was in the Haunting of Bly Manor and the Haunting of Hill House. So really terrific artist. I have to tell you, I'm really happy with how this is coming out. I did not know how this stream was going to go. I'm just kind of forcing myself into doing streams, and I'm really happy with how this drawing is coming out. I'm sort of trucking along on it here. That's a relief. That's a relief to see. So, yeah. I'm waiting on some Indiegogo campaigns that I've backed to get the stuff that's in it. I tend not to worry about it. I worry about it when it comes to my stuff getting out to people who back my campaigns. I think everybody does. It's nerve-wracking. But when it comes to backing people who are doing things like comics and work like that, I know how hard it is for them to fulfill these things. So I just try not to overthink it, but I'm really excited to see some of the stuff I've backed come together and see what the colors look like. I saw some behind-the-scenes work for a comic book that I backed recently, and the perspective work on it, which is not something that I'm overly focused on in my stuff. Even though I like to use perspective, I don't use it in the classical comic book, or manga, really beautiful three-point perspective, or it's a really ambitious thing, and for me, it's hard for me to keep the energy in my stuff sometimes when I do that, and I look for something that's a little less noticeable, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say distracting, because that would be, that sounds a little insulting to the quality of what this artist is doing. But it's beautiful stuff, and I know the artist has done some work, but I had never heard of them. So I'm hoping, to get it. I can't wait to see that stuff. And it's great to be excited about things. I think Indiegogo for me right now is like how I used to feel about going to the comic book store. And I used to love going to the comic book store. I mean, the heyday of comic book shops, which are a relatively new thing. Comic book shops selling new comics and the direct market is a very, very recent, or was a very recent thing. I mean, it's still there, but it's not what it was. And so I used to only go to comic book shops to get back issues. So, the stuff wasn't out on the stand. It wasn't, like there were tons of trade paperbacks out there. So I get that thing to work. There we go. Yeah, I think this is going to make a killer sticker. I cannot wait to see it. Let's see here. Oh, that's looking good. I love it when it comes together. That's good stuff. Yeah, it's great to be inspired by some of the work other artists are doing. I think I've gone through periods where I feel like, or I think that we need other artists out there doing cool stuff to inspire us sometimes. And I think we're all stronger when we have, cool stuff being made. And I don't think cool has been something. I think cool is often very downplayed, or think people will look at something that's not cool and say, "Oh, it's cool," because they have that kind of, that kind of interest. And there you go. That's coming together. There you go. I'm going to try to give a little bit of room to that big E shape that's on there, because I do not want to take away from it. There we go. And then we'll see if we can get those fangs in there a little bit more. Let's lower this camera just a little bit so we can see what I'm doing with those fangs. There we go. And every one of these videos, the fun thing about doing them is that I'm getting more and more practice promoting the stuff. And if there's one thing that I really got out of Brian Polito's Calling All Creators video was that just getting into the habit. That's a huge part of it. And make sure you talk about your stuff. I want to sell comic books and art books to you. I want to sell stickers to you. I want to sell t-shirts and hats. I want to make all those things possible. I want to sell art prints of my stuff. So I need an engaged audience, and I want to make sure I'm always putting out some interesting content for them, because all of it feeds into the artwork. And Brian is just a master at that. He's been doing it for 30 years, and it was incredibly generous of him to share his expertise in that video. If you're an artist or you're a creator and you're looking for a source of inspiration and a source of advice, I cannot overstate how great that video is. You know, it's fun. It's fun to see somebody who's genuinely excited about what they're doing. And he has been, and he maintains that enthusiasm. That looks really good. Okay, that's coming together. Now I just got to figure out how to make... I'm going to fit the type on here when I get to that point. And I still haven't figured out, and maybe the hands, like right now I've got hands here as the flare that's going to kind of make this come together as a piece. But I think I hate that. I think I hate that. It's a cool idea in the sense that, you know, it was like, I don't know, maybe it's not a cool idea, but this character, is an essential part of this character, and something that you have to make choices when you're making illustration work like this. But essential part of this character is this kind of, you know, long, you know, stringy hair that they have. And if I'm going to, you know, try to capture what it is about this character that sums them up, that's what I think I really need to focus on. I need to focus on getting that as you know, the driving force, if not the creepy hands. It starts feeling like a zombie coming out of the ground, and that's all fine and good, but that's not what this character is. This character is not jumping out to kind of come and get you. He's kind of more a silly character. You know, he's more of a goofy kind of faced character. And I mean, I might end up amping this up or doing more versions of it, but I think for this version, for this iconic version that I want to start out with, I'm going to try to simplify it a little bit here. And I mean, simplify is a relative term. I'm going to go crazy detailed on all this hair, but I want to make sure that people understand who this character is and what they're about. And I may, it's tough to say, but I may even flesh out this character's ears here too, because I feel like they're not big enough. And I can just do that with some detail marks to obscure where I changed it. But I think that might be a better way to go. And maybe I can have those ears kind of flare out a little bit there. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I'm not 100% sold on that, but that might be where it goes. We'll just see. There we go. And then have that come into play. Yeah, I think that's starting to work. All right. So here's what I am going to do. Let me just erase some of that, and then we'll see what we have here. There we go. I think that's looking good. Yeah, I really think that's going to come together. So we're coming up at about 40 minutes right now. I am spent. I got my first vaccine shots today. Got to get my second one in 28 days, so fingers crossed on that. And so I've got, you know, I'm exhausted, frankly, but I want to just make sure I checked in tonight, showed some of the stuff I'm working on. If you missed last night's, or the last stream I did, I talk a lot about my process in terms of what artwork I'm looking at right now, what's inspiring me. I'd encourage you to go check it out. And as always, guys, take care. Have a great evening. Keep creating cool stuff. And thank you for coming and checking this stuff out. I appreciate all my backers, all my supporters, everybody who's checking out the stuff. And I just want to make cool content And I don't mean, just in terms of YouTube videos. I mean, I want to create some really cool books for you guys to enjoy. So take care, everybody. Have a great evening, and I will see you soon.